Hi, it's Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. Today's question is, what is queer erasure? So, erasure is a term that we use, by erasure, queer erasure. Other folks also get erased from history a lot. There's a lot of erasure of minorities, a lot of erasure of the accomplishments of women. But what erasure is exactly what's been happening over the last few years with, and really this is such a tactic that makes me angry, but book banning, removing queer stories from history, removing references to non-binary people from federal websites, preventing people from talking about transgender people in schools, denying the existence or removing references to the existence of a class of people is erasure. And so what's happening with queer erasure is that references to queer people are being removed from what we teach our children, from our libraries, from our official sites. And it's basically a pretending we don't exist kind of a thing, especially for trans people right now. That's happening specifically, the federal government specifically targeting erasure of transness right now in huge ways. So this creates the perception among people who are not living the reality that, and even among those of us who are, come to think of it, that we have not always been here, that we have not always existed. It allows the people of the future to look back and say, oh, it's not in schools. It's not, I wasn't taught about that when I was in school, so it's not true. It's a way of undermining the fact that this exists. And it's frankly the result of just phobia, a bunch of people being afraid that if you give people information that they're going to believe. I don't even know. I mean, honestly, I'm going to stop that right there. I don't even know why people are so afraid of this. I don't get what's so scary about a person being queer. I don't. But clearly for a lot of people it is. And it's also othering. It's creating the sense that these people do not need protections and rights and the ability to engage in this behavior if they don't exist. It's so frustrating. One thing that I heard on this lovely podcast, History is Gay, was that there's a famous image of book burning in Nazi Germany, and that was research into queer history that was being burned, and scientific studies on human sexuality that were like the first things targeted in the Nazi regime when Hitler was book burning and trying to control people's thought. And when a government starts to try to control people's thought, or really any system of authority tries to control the flow of information and what people are allowed to think, then the next step is to try to curtail what the normal people think, what the normal people's experience is. And it's very much a lesson of history that gay bashing and queer erasure and discrimination against people who are other, who are outside the norm, is linked very, very closely with racism, with atrocities, with fascism. This is my understanding of our history. So I think it's very, very important that we continue to be loud and proud and out there, and existence is resistance, because, I'll be damned if I'm going to let them erase the fact that we exist. And so yeah, it's important for me. It's important for me, for my kids, for my grandkids. I don't have grandkids, but my future grandkids, for posterity, that when people look back at today, that they see the research that is being uncovered today about our history, that they see the documentation of bias that was previously interpreting that queer people weren't in ancient cultures, and now we're seeing that they are, but also that today, here and now, I want people to learn in school that people are queer and that is a normal state of humanity, and to frankly stop having being gay be such a big deal, because it would be really awesome if it were just like a normal part of our everyday life. And yeah, sure, I can tell you that I'm bisexual, but it's really no more important than the fact that I don't particularly like chocolate. These things are it's frustrating to have regular, everyday, normal things be things that people vilify. So yeah, I strongly encourage everybody to like stand up against book banning. Encourage communication, encourage references to underrepresented communities of all kinds in history, in media, in books, in education, in exposure in our world, because we've always been here, and it's very, very important to recognize the full picture of human experience. So that's my take. Thank you very much for listening. This is Leela, the proud poly kinky queer slut. You can email me at kinkyqueerslut@gmail.com, and thanks for listening. Proud Poly Kinky Queer Slut is art. It is made for entertainment purposes only. I am not a subject matter expert on any of the topics discussed. Please do not rely on anything presented here as fact. Think for yourself, do your own research, make your own decisions. To submit a question, please email kinkyqueerslut@gmail.com.